pretty much serious, and I want to talk about it. Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders and some of the trade rumors that's been going around. I mean, Billy Halen is one of the columnists who are writing these things up, and it's been going on since Shedeur was traded himself. If you notice, the Browns traded for a pick to get Shedeur as well.
I also can't blame anybody who says, I don't necessarily trust this coaching staff to develop a quarterback or to evaluate the quarterback position. They've made some really oddball decisions at this position over the last several years, and I don't blame anybody for questioning, do these guys actually know what they're doing?
I don't think that.
The Dallas Cowboys just backed up a Brinks truck the size of Texas for Shedeur Sanders, dangling it in front of the Cleveland Browns. Yep, Jerry Jones is treating the NFL like an auction house, throwing bids at quarterbacks the way collectors chase rare Pokemon cards. Did the Browns pause and actually think about it? Did Shedeur's agent nearly pass out? Or is this yet another flashy Cowboys big splash destined to fizzle into a kiddie pool? Buckle up, this saga screams chaos.
It's more of the subtle things we're noticing. A lot of franchises, yes, although they were part of the collusion, I don't think the collusion told them they can't then go and either sign for Shedeur or trade for Shedeur Sanders, meaning that the logics and optics that are being used is more of, okay, we did our part, we didn't draft him in the first, second, third, fourth, or whatever, but there was no stipulations in the collusion contracts where we can't pick him up. So a lot of trade offers been made to get Shedeur Sanders in the last 3 months. I'm talking about a lot of trades offers, that is, and the Cleveland Browns have been the organization that's been denying this trade. So
if you're enjoying, please subscribe Shedeur Sanders to the channel. It helps more than you think. The Dallas Cowboys lobbing a monster offer at the Cleveland Browns for Shedeur Sanders feels less like football and more like an episode of Who Wants to Buy a Quarterback, starring Jerry Jones himself. Imagine the scene, an aging billionaire with a mic in one hand and the Cowboys checkbook in the other, turning quarterbacks into his personal set of rare collectibles. And at this moment, the crown jewel he's eyeing isn't just any passer, it's Shedeur Sanders, the prize of the lot.
I don't either. What kind of long jump Carl Lewis leap are we making here? They traded up to wreck his career. That's how diabolical the Browns are. They traded up so that they could say, screw the Sanders family. We're going to show him. We're going to run a ball into the ground. What he's very clearly saying for anybody with a lick of common sense is when they left the building Friday night, they didn't think he was going to be there in the 5th round. They had already had their quarterback. Of course they weren't still going to consider taking another quarterback when he kept falling and kept falling and kept falling on Saturday, regardless of whose decision it was to move up to get him. As an organization, they made the decision to move up to get him, not because they're trying to tank this poor kid's career, because they have a job opening.
The Browns surely believed they'd hit the jackpot with Shedeur. A quarterback carrying swagger, calm under pressure, and a gift for transforming broken plays into viral highlights? In Cleveland? That's like finding a Michelin star restaurant tucked into a gas station lot, completely unexpected, almost absurd, yet exactly the kind of surprise the city's long-suffering football fans had been desperate to see on their own turf.
At all. The thing I would say is that they're desperate. They're very desperate. Like the entire organization is desperate. And if you really think they're going back to the coaches' offices and all getting around the table after sessions and being like, guys, Shedeur is unbelievable. But
let's be honest, without Shedeur, the Browns look lost. That's not even an insult, it's basically a Cleveland ritual by now. For decades they've churned through quarterbacks like a bored teen scrolling Netflix. Nothing sticks, nothing thrills, and half the time you regret pressing play. But Shedeur? He's cut from another cloth. He's the kind of quarterback who walks into a locker room and instantly changes the atmosphere. Suddenly the air feels lighter, the energy sharper, and even the Gatorade tastes like a brand new recipe for winning.
But I'm going to answer this question by saying Shedeur Sanders. And I'm going to tell you why. I think he's being set up to fail. That's right, I'm going to say it. Okay. Here we are on national television, right? There's been 11 practices, if I remember correctly. He's been starting against he's been playing against the third unit. He's fourth on the depth chart. and then suddenly you throw him into the start lineup, and he hasn't had any reps with the first team at all. Think about that. So you're just gonna throw him to the wolves like that, huh? I mean, you know, if he had first team snaps in practice, I don't say that.
So of course, here comes Dallas, stomping in with their giant cowboy boots, announcing to the world that they're ready to write the biggest check imaginable. Because why develop your own quarterback when you can just buy one like a shiny new toy at the NFL mall? Let's not pretend this isn't the most Cowboys move ever. The team has a history of chasing stars, whether or not they actually fit into the puzzle. Jerry Jones wakes up in the morning, stares into a mirror, and asks himself, how can I spend millions today on something shiny? And when he sees Shedeur Sanders lighting it up, it's like dangling keys in front of a baby. He can't resist. But here's the irony, the Cowboys aren't exactly quarterback starved. They have Dak Prescott, a quarterback who is fine. Serviceable. The human equivalent of a sturdy Toyota Camry. Reliable, gets the job done, might even look good after a car wash, but is anyone writing country songs about him? Not exactly. Meanwhile, the Browns are sitting there like the overprotective parent of a gifted child. They finally got someone who can throw a football without fans burying their heads in paper bags. And suddenly the Cowboys are waving draft picks and dollar bills like they're trying to buy out the whole candy store.
I'll be honest about Shedeur. I think the plan is to destroy his stock. Not drafting him would have been too direct. Draft him to a crowded QB squad. Don't give him any reps, make up a reason to not start him, keep him on the bench, or cut him. The last thing teams want is for him to shine and make them look stupid for passing on him. The Browns owner clearly separated himself so that he wouldn't be on the wrong side of the black ball. Whoever this is said this perfectly. So don't be surprised when they try to play it out.
Cleveland has been through too much heartbreak to let Shedeur slip through their fingers without a fight. And yet, temptation has a way of creeping in. Because let's face it, when the Cowboys say huge offer, they're not talking about handing over a second-round pick and a couple of practice squad leftovers. No, this is the kind of offer that makes even the most stubborn front office executive pause. We're talking about a treasure chest full of draft picks, possibly a couple of players with name recognition, and maybe even a new stadium thrown in just to sweeten the deal. Jerry Jones would probably offer the Cowboys mascot, cheerleaders, and a lifetime supply of barbecue if it meant locking down Shedeur Sanders. Shiny exterior, decent tires, but you're not going anywhere. And Cleveland fans know this. They've seen the horror movie play out too many times. The team gets rid of potential, the replacement flops, and suddenly the whole city is rioting with foamed fingers and burning jerseys in parking lots. That's the drama here. On one hand, the Cowboys are offering the type of deal that could rebuild an entire franchise overnight. On the other, the Browns finally have someone who can actually win games.
Cleveland believes in Joe Flacco's experience and Dylan Gabriel's ability to back him up. Andrew Berry still thinks there's a place for Shedeur on this roster, but his chances of seeing regular season action in 2025 are unlikely. You can see on the left there in the picture, and I'll read you the full quote, unless things get really weird. So this is what the actual snippet from the article said. Then I got a question for you. Diana Rossini wrote, for all the football conspiracy theorists out there, they're trying to decode the real reason the Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders. Here's the truth. There is no big secret. The pick wasn't some master plan from ownership. It was GM Andrew Berry's call, rooted in his belief that Cleveland's coaching staff could bring out the best in Sanders and help him grow into an NFL quarterback.
And in true Cleveland fashion, the decision feels like choosing between two terrible options: sell the star and risk never finding another one, or keep him and pray he doesn't get swallowed up by the team's cursed history. For Shedeur himself, this is the dream scenario. The man thrives on chances. Give him an opening, and he'll squeeze through like water in a cracked dam. He's the kind of quarterback who treats every opportunity like it's a lottery ticket, and so far, he's been cashing out every time. If he lands in Dallas, you can bet he'll take full advantage of the biggest stage in football. National spotlight, primetime games, endless media attention, it's basically a launchpad to superstardom. And that's what scares the Browns. You think Browns fans are patient enough for that? These are people who've been waiting their entire lives for a quarterback worth rooting for. Selling Shedeur would be like finding water in the desert, then pouring it out to save the bottle. But let's not forget the Cowboys in all this. Dallas has a knack for creating drama even when they don't mean to. Add Shedeur Sanders to the mix, and you can already see the headlines: quarterback controversy, fan debates, and media circus 24/7. Dak Prescott wouldn't just be looking over his shoulder. He'd be building a panic room.
Cleveland season ever not gotten really weird?
Yeah, I mean, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Does that mean Flacco and we already know he's the third quarterback. So what? Nothing weird has to happen. The first two quarterbacks got to get hurt or be terrible.
Yeah, that's.
And then he'll get a chance.
That's what she means, I think.
Yeah. So, but who didn't know that already?
I think we all knew that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know why that's a news story.
Because it makes. I mean, she's the first person to put it in print where she says he's not playing this year.
But he's going to play this year, I assume, because I don't think these guys are going to make it through the season. Joe Flacco, no way he's going to make it more than 4 or 5 weeks. It seems very unlikely.
And Jerry Jones? He'd be eating it up, parading Shedeur around like the new crown jewel of Cowboys Stadium. The truth is, this story isn't just about football. It's about ego, desperation, and spectacle. The Browns want to hold on to relevance. The Cowboys want to buy back their glory days. And Shedeur? He just wants the ball in his hands and a chance to prove, once again, that when opportunity knocks, he doesn't just answer, he kicks the door off the hinges. The Cleveland Browns holding on to Shedeur Sanders is like a broke college student holding on to the last packet of ramen noodles. It doesn't matter what anyone offers, you're not letting go. And yet, the Cowboys are dangling a 5-course meal in front of them, complete with steak, lobster, and unlimited dessert. They've had more quarterbacks than the Kardashians have brand deals. Every season, it's the same cycle: hype, disappointment, rehab, repeat. If misery loves company, then Browns fans and their quarterbacks have been in an unbreakable marriage for decades. And suddenly, Shedeur comes along like the one person who doesn't ghost them after 3 dates. Naturally, Cleveland's holding on for dear life.
Browns is the Browns. This is the most hype they've ever had. Like, it's the Browns.
Exactly.
So, he got drafted to the wrong team. That's Sanders' name. I'm telling you right now, there's only one person that understands business, and he will trade his quarterback for Sanders. Dallas is where Sanders is going to be. Wow. Because that name on the back of that jersey is legacy, and he's going to want that to ring bells around the globe. Jerry is going to have him. You just proved.
But the Cowboys are not a team that takes no lightly. Jerry Jones probably has the Browns front office on speed dial, calling every morning before breakfast with a new deal. How about 3 first-rounders and a bag of Texas brisket? If the Browns still hesitate, you can bet Jerry's next pitch involves renaming their stadium Jerry World 2.0. This man does not stop until he gets what he wants, and right now, what he wants is Shedeur Sanders throwing passes under the bright lights of AT&T Stadium. And why wouldn't he? Shedeur is tailor-made for the Cowboys brand. He's flashy, he's confident, and he knows how to perform when the lights are brightest. In Dallas, that's not just a skill, it's a survival strategy. Meanwhile, Dak Prescott is sitting there like a kid whose parents just brought home a new puppy. At first, he's smiling, but deep down, he knows the puppy is about to steal all the attention. Prescott's career has been one long roller coaster, sometimes thrilling, sometimes nausea-inducing, but always leaving fans wondering if they should have chosen a different ride. Now, with Shedeur in the picture, the safety harness might finally snap.
Shedeur got on the field. You watching the game, Chad, there's a lot of Shedeur Sanders fans. What did you think of his first outing?
Listen, all the talk and the narratives and the storylines and whatever you want to say, sooner or later that ball's about to snap. And that young man we watched in Colorado, who's one of the best football players in the nation, is now looking like one of the best football players in the nation at another level. That's what it was. I knew the collusion and all the stuff, like I said, you want to go through. You saw what Shedeur Sanders was capable of. We all knew what Shedeur Sanders was capable of, and he's going to show that he should start there. Flacco's there, Kenny Pickett.
And let's not pretend Cowboys fans wouldn't turn on Prescott in an instant. This is a fan base that expects a Super Bowl every year, even though the last time they won one, blockbuster video was still a thing. They're not patient. They're not forgiving. The moment Shedeur steps on the field and throws one clean spiral, the chants will start. We want Shedeur. Prescott could complete 20 passes in a row, and the crowd would still be checking Shedeur's Instagram to see what shoes he wore to the game. For Shedeur, though, the Cowboys stage is the ultimate audition. If he succeeds there, he's not just a star, he's a legend. The endorsements, the commercials, the late-night TV appearances, it's all waiting for him. He'd be the first quarterback in history to have his own cologne line before his second season. That's the power of the Cowboys brand. The Browns would be rolling the dice on draft picks that may or may not pan out. And Browns fans? They'd lose their minds. Imagine tailgating in freezing weather only to watch your team trade away the one quarterback who didn't make you cry yourself to sleep. It would be mutiny in Cleveland.
We all didn't expect this, of course, but I feel like with God, anything possible, everything possible. I don't feel like this happened, for no reason. All this is of course, fuel to the fire. And under no circumstance, we all know this shouldn't have happened. But we understand we're on the bigger and better things. Tomorrow's the day. We're going to be happy regardless. Legendary.
Of course, there's always that temptation. Draft picks are like scratch-off lottery tickets, cheap, shiny, and full of promise. But history shows that most of them end up as losers, and then you're left staring at your empty wallet. The Cowboys, on the other hand, are trying to convince the Browns that these picks are golden. They're essentially saying, trust us, your future will be amazing, while holding the keys to Shedeur's present. Now, imagine if the Browns actually say yes. Shedeur heads to Dallas, and the Cowboys unleash him on the league like a secret weapon. The hype would be nuclear. Sports networks would cover his every move, from touchdown passes to the way he ties his shoelaces. Well, then the Cowboys are stuck with Prescott, the fans are stuck with disappointment, and Jerry Jones is stuck shopping for his next obsession. Meanwhile, the Browns finally have a chance to build an actual dynasty around Shedeur, something they've been dreaming of since the 1960s. Cleveland might actually have a future worth believing in, as long as they don't find a way to screw it up, which, let's be real, is always a possibility. Because if there's one thing the Browns are better at than football, it's self-sabotage.
Him to be the security blanket, which is what you brought him there for to begin with. You didn't bring him there to lead the Browns. You brought him to be a security blanket in the event that you couldn't find somebody else who could do it. That's why people in Cleveland were looking at it last year. Why the hell isn't he here last year? What the hell you let him get out the door for before you ultimately brought him back after the season he had a couple of years ago? But I do think it's important to bring this one nugget up. I'm looking at the average time to throw for a quarterback last year in the National Football League. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was like at 2.42 to 3.14 seconds, if I remember correctly, based on what I read.
Sure.
The average time that Shedeur Sanders had to throw the other night was 3.48 seconds. And the reality is that in the National Football League, you know this better than me, Shefty. Obviously, you do too, D.O.
They could have the winning lottery numbers written on a napkin and still manage to lose the ticket. Keeping Shedeur is the right move, but with Cleveland's luck, they'll trip over their own shoelaces trying to make it happen. At least Shedeur himself won't have that problem. He's the one guy in this whole circus who comes out looking good no matter what. Stay with the Browns, and he's the savior of a tortured franchise. Go to the Cowboys, and he's the next big superstar under the biggest spotlight in sports. Either way, he wins. Both sides are desperate for validation. One wants to prove they can still win titles, the other wants to prove they can finally build something worth cheering for. And in the middle of it all stands Shedeur Sanders, cool as ever, knowing full well that whichever team he lands on, he's going to make noise.